Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters in That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Today I welcome some special guests from the land of Chicago. We got Kim. Let's see, we got John, Steve, and Dmitri from the band, The Rising and Fall. How you all doing today?
Doing great.
Good.
Yep.
Thanks for having us. How are you?
Not too bad. I guess, what you guys been up to recently? What's new?
Ooh.
Oh, nothing, I mean, not much. We just sit around. We play tiddlywinks, shuffleboard stuff. No, we actually have a ton going right now, which is a really, really good thing. We're just finishing up. So we just released 2 singles off of our debut EP. Our debut EP is called Cycles. And we just released the first 2 singles, which are Breaking the Chain and Hell in My Chest. And we're just super, super excited to get those out into the world, see what they do, see how people like them. Hopefully they do. We've gotten a great reaction from people as far as when we're playing out. The people that do listen, love the tracks. So we're just very proud of them right now.
Yeah, we're learning a lot. We were never on Spotify until this past Monday. First time ever. So it's definitely been a learning curve for all of us, all the different things you have to research as far as, how to claim profiles, how to upload everything, how to get a distributor. I mean, it was never ending for us. I think by the time we release our 5th one, we should be pros at it. But, it's been a while, but we're excited about things that are happening with us, especially getting on all the platforms this week is really an accomplishment as a band. Writing all these songs and the months of work and that to see, your stuff out there for the world to hear.
Absolutely. We got a lot of those, and we were actually Band of the Month in Hot Headed Radio for November.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of doing a lot with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Hot Headed Radio.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tattoo Baby for pushing us. We appreciate it. Kind of nice to be seemingly. We've been at this for a couple of years already, but it's kind of nice that we got a lot of support and a lot of people willing to put us out there and push us to a bigger audience.
And we appreciate this opportunity as well.
No worries. I guess good thing we're also posting on Facebook there too, because that's how I found out about you guys. So
Okay, thanks. Cool.
I was going to say, in terms of being busy, I thought Christmas decorating was going to be the next thing on the list. So
Tomorrow. Yeah. We start tomorrow.
Yeah, we're all screwed.
We're still in Thanksgiving mode.
Yeah, honestly.
Actually, I thought it would have been igloo mode.
Yeah, that's okay.
Actually, I would have thought it would have been igloo mode because I thought it's freezing up there in Chicago.
Yes.
It was starting to warm up a little bit
For now.
40s.
Yep.
It's almost hoodie and shorts weather.
Yeah, it is.
Almost.
Yeah. We don't see our breath anymore when we speak, so that's better.
Let up a little
It's bad when you can see your breath. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the weather like out by you?
Kind of the same way. It's still cold. It's still in the 30s, but by tomorrow it'll be in the 40s, and we get to watch the Steelers take on the Browns. So yeah.
All right.
And we get to watch the Bears lose, so we're all
It's going to turn around.
Again.
Have faith,
Are they
please.
playing at home?
It doesn't,
No.
doesn't matter.
Does it? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Really.
There's still time.
There is still time.
Yeah. It's another subject.
All right. We'll see what happens, but good luck tomorrow in terms of football wise. So, all right. So everyone, I want to welcome you all to my podcast right here. And the way it's going to work is just ask you all some questions. Let's get to know you guys more, both as the musicians, but also as the individuals as well here too. So you all ready?
Yep.
All right. Well, we're all gentlemen here, so the lovely Lady Kim will go first. So, Kim, what role do you play in the band? And tell us your backstory of how you became a musician.
So I'm the lead singer and keyboard player, also songwriter in the band. And I guess you could say I was born into music. My mom and dad were both musicians. My dad was a drummer. My mom played keys and sang, and they were in multiple wedding bands. My uncle and my grandpa were both accomplished pianists. And I was surrounded by music at every family gathering we went, whether someone was playing accordion or piano. It was always part of my life. I was completely it just was just something natural to me to hear all the time, especially, my parents practicing all the time. And I must have been tinkering on the piano early on, and my mom saw my interest, so she started teaching me how to play piano, and that's where I started. And from there, my mom taught me as much as she could, and she knew I had a lot of potential. So I started taking professional piano lessons, and I studied classical piano for 15 plus years. And I did all the recitals, the competitions. I played with a couple symphonies. And so that was really, I always thought of myself as going to be a classically trained pianist. And that was my path. Then I must have been listening to, I think, Metallica or Zeppelin or something in school. And I'm like, man, I really like this rock and roll. This is pretty cool. So I started kind of going more in that direction as far as what I wanted to pursue. I just loved that kind of music. And I thought, I love playing the piano, but I'm not sure that's going to fit in that music. So, yeah, I kind of started singing too later. Never took a vocal course at all. I never took any singing lessons whatsoever, but I was always a performer, I guess you could say. My brother and I would do Donnie and Marie Osmond skits when we were at family gatherings, and everyone's cheering. And as a little kid, you're like, oh, they think we're great, we're awesome. And I'm like, no. Later on in life, you realize they're cheering to get you off. Like, please stop. Like enough's enough. But I love performing. And it didn't matter what I was doing. I was like making a fool of myself or whatever. But I guess like I said, music has always been part of me. Performing has. Singing came later, just by choice, not by choice, but having no one else to sing my stuff that I would write. Yeah. So that's kind of my path, and hopefully it continues on the same, more toward the singing, more toward the writing. That's
Kim. When you did Donnie and Marie,
Yeah.
Who is a little bit more country? Who is a little bit more rock and roll?
Actually, I think I was a rock and roller. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
brother is more a little bit country.
yeah. He was a little more country.
Okay, just curious.
One.
Oh, sorry for the background.
Cheers.
Oh, there you go. That's all
Sprite.
right, too.
Got a couple pops.
I should know you gotta say Pepsi. That's a blue
Yes.
color ones. So
Whoever sponsors this podcast.
Yes, yeah. That's what we're
Insert
drinking.
sponsor here.
actually, I was trying to think we're not liable for any damages done in podcast interview.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. John, go ahead.
Done.
Oh yeah,
John, yeah.
I'll go. Sure. So with me, kind of like him, like I always knew that I wanted to. Actually, when I was 6 years old, my older cousin, who was I think 17 or 18 at the time, was a drummer in a band, and I went to his house and I saw his drum set. And the minute I laid eyes on the drum set, I knew that I was, whatever that is, I'm going to do something with it. I looked at it and I just knew it. And I started playing on pots and pans at my, parents' house and on the bar stools. And I broke so many pots and pans that eventually they said, we'll buy you a broken down drum set, which my first set was a 4-piece Ludwig with a cracked ride cymbal, cracked right down the middle of it. I mean, it sounded terrible, but man, I played that drum set for 4 years. So I got that in 6th grade. As a Christmas present, and really I just knew I wanted to play drums. But I also kind of veered off that path for about 12 years, and I kind of went a different direction and was doing electronic music for a long time. And then I was in an accident where I couldn't play drums when I had just started playing again, and it took me about 5 years to heal. Once I healed, I was ready to go again, and I started jamming with Steve right here, and it was very innocuous. We were just playing for fun, just jamming, and it kind of turned into what you see right now before your very eyes. But as far as like my trajectory, it's always been pointed towards music in some way. But I kind of do, I'm a drummer. That's what I love doing. Every time I sit down and play drums, I'm thankful for it. I'm grateful. I love it. But I also have a lot of other parts of music that I just love performing, and I'm just a music fan. You know, I mean, you never stop being a fan and just loving music and just having times where you just sit there and listen to a record and put it on and just appreciate it. So, you know, that's the one thing that I think is kind of missed in this generation. Even though vinyl sales are making a huge comeback, you know, just I remember being a kid and being at my parents' house, and we didn't have much. We were very poor, but we had a record player, we had a turntable, and we had a speaker, and we would just put records on. And I remember listening to the Rolling Stones when I was real little, like 4 or 5 years old, and just like, oh, this is the best. I love that. Or My Sharona was the first song, the first rock song that I got into. And I would call every Chicago radio station and ask for them to play My Sharona. They knew who I was because they would say, Sharona guy. Sharona guy? You're Sharona guy. I was 5, 6 years old. I would call and ask for My Sharona. So it's always been pointed towards music in some way or another.
They got Paul Revere guy coming down, be like, the Sharona is coming. So yeah.
Yeah, I have no shame. Still don't.
Actually, that accident you were talking about, was it a real bad car accident?
Yeah.
Because you're doing well, they're made. So good to have you around.
Yeah. I mean, I was told afterwards that I would never play again. That they're just get it out of your mind. You're never going to play again or whatever. And it did take a long time to heal, but once I did, I was ready to go. I was like, there's no turning back at this point. There's no stopping me.
It's amazing what motivates you,
Mhm.
you know, to heal quicker or whatever.
I'm so glad that the 2 doctors that said you won't play again said that. I needed that. I actually needed that. So.
Afterwards, he yelled, Schwade for victory. So,
Right. Can't keep us down.
yeah, that's our motto.
Yeah.
No means.
can't give it down. So, right. Yeah, Steve?
All right, I guess my turn. All right, so my introduction to music was my brother playing guitar and singing. I was probably 4 or 5 years old when I would kind of gravitate towards his room in the upstairs of our house that I grew up in. He was playing Dream On by Aerosmith all the time, and he was doing really well, and he just played a lot, and it just kind of inspired me to try to play. And at one point, I had to start playing guitar. I love guitar. I started getting into some, it was light rock music like Def Leppard and the like at that point. But then I started getting into heavier bands like Megadeth, Pantera, Slayer around middle school. And then I'm like, I have to start playing. I was driven. I had actually, in my art class in 6th grade, I made like some kind of textile guitar strap. And my brother had stripped a guitar down to like nothing. And so I used that guitar strap that I had made to like play air guitar before. But when I finally got into 7th grade, my cousin had a guitar that he was trying to sell. My cousin's musically inclined as well. And he had a guitar that he didn't want. He wanted to sell it, and I found out about it, so I called him, bought it. I took lessons for maybe a couple years. I play guitar, by the way, so
Good tell.
breaking news. So
That's symbolic.
but that's my role in the band: guitar player and backing vocals, and
songwriter too.
songwriter. We're all
Yeah.
essentially songwriters in the band. And so I started playing guitar. I took lessons for a couple years and started getting pretty good. And there was a lot of happenings at my house growing up in high school. And I would play guitar with a friend, and we would kind of compete against each other. And actually, my first live gig ever playing guitar was with this guy here at a jazz concert in spring. I think we played a song by Lenny Kravitz, "Are You Gonna Go My Way?"
Yeah.
And that was kind of my first taste of being on stage and just kind of working with musicians to create beautiful music. I've been in and out of a lot of different bands, but this is this is definitely my favorite project I've ever been in. Everybody works hard. Everybody knows what they're doing. We all have a common direction that we're headed towards. And it's just, I don't know, I started singing a lot too, so I've been in bands where I've been the lead singer, but in some ways I know that background vocals are a must in any band. It just adds a total other amazing dimension to any live project. And I started singing probably around the same time I started playing guitar, and then I started playing things so much I got bored of just playing. So I started singing along with it. So I got really good at being able to sing over complex guitar parts that I'm playing. So it's definitely a useful tool in any musical endeavor. And then after my last original project fizzled out, that's when this guy and I were starting to jam again, and it just came about that maybe we should start something, and then things progressed, and here we are.
I'll say, actually, at first it seems like you were like committed to the group right here, and be like, well, we need a bigger commitment than that, Steve. Especially when you say like, at first you were like, this wasn't my favorite project I've been a part of.
No. It's like, I mean, it's definitely top 25.
Definitely top 25 out of the 26
This week.
Yeah.
This week at least.
I mean, I every musician I've ever played with, I've been fortunate enough to play with them. There's a lot of great musicians around this area.
Mhm.
A lot of great projects. I've been involved in a lot of cover bands and tribute bands a lot over the last 20 years. Not as much original projects, but I do love the original projects a lot more. I know it's a lot more work, so because people are less likely to give you the time of day if they're not familiar with your music. But I think I've created a lot of connections with people over the years through a lot of the cover and tribute projects, and I'm still involved in some of those every now and then, but this is definitely my passion is music. I love music. I'm a fan, just like everybody is. I listen to my vinyl out my garage. I'm gonna do that today because it's 40 degrees. So cook some chicken on the grill, kind of like ice fishing or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely my passion. It's something I'm looking forward to the future with this lovely bunch.
Lovely.
Lovely.
Lovely. Okay. And Dmitri? No.
So I got into music at a young age. My dad playing a lot of old school rock and roll, Chuck Berry, Elvis, that kind of stuff. And then growing up in the 80s with a lot of hard rock stations in Chicago, and with MTV coming out, which was huge, the videos and all that kind of stuff, hard rock and metal, mid to late 80s, I just gravitated towards. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you guys know this, but my parents took me, my sister, so the first concert I ever went to, I was big into Guns N' Roses, 87, 88, and all those kind of hard rock bands. My parents bought tickets to take them and my sister and myself to go see Miami Sound Machine in 1989.
That's awesome.
And I remember how old was I, 12 or whatever. I was raised in hell because I was like, I don't want to see them. I want to see Guns N' Roses, and all this other stuff. And they're like, we're going to see Miami Sound Machine. And that night, they had their obviously the Latin field, the drummer and the percussionist did a drum solo, dual drum solo. And I just remember that, but it's like, holy smokes. And that's, I think, was the catalyst, because I wanted to play drums. And right at that time, Injustice for All had come out, Metallica, and listening to that and the sound that Lars had, I was like, I wanted to be a drummer. I was air drumming and all. And my parents, my friends were getting into music. They were 8th, 9th grade, buying guitars, bass, drums. So all my friends started to become musicians. I wanted to play drums. My parents said, that's not going to happen in our house. So, which I understand why with the noise. But I gravitated towards bass for some reason, just in general. And when I started getting into the really heavy stuff like Sabbath and Maiden and Metallica and Megadeth, like the bass just grabbed me. And picked up the bass in '93, took lessons for about a year and a half, and which was fine, but I was pretty much self-taught, and all the metal just started coming, and just following those bands, listening to those bands and playing, and took me through the 90s, was in bands when I was in college, came back home, got into a tribute band with Steve, actually. We were in a Megadeth tribute band together. I think we kind of still are, sort of, maybe not. but I mean, it just, it grabbed me at a young age and then took me through up until now. And, still love playing. I mean, took some time off for a while, but now back into it after when Steve called. He's like, hey, you want to do something? I said, try it. And then all of a sudden it was
lean in a little bit.
And then suddenly it was just like, suddenly it was.
It's just a voice in the dark.
There's a voice in the corner. It's me. This is God. No, but we started getting together and working on stuff. And man, we just started coming up with all these ideas and all the original stuff. And it was like, oh, it's great. And the influences are there. You can hear it, and everyone's playing, and just the songwriting. It's got a little bit of old school songwriting with a more modern sound. So it's great. I mean, it's just, when it's in your blood, it's in your blood, And think everyone here started at a young age and then you keep going with it. Some people quit. Some people don't never get that bug. And they look at people who are musicians and they go, wow, you're in a band? And you're like, well, I've been playing for 25, 30 years. And like to us, it's like, it's no big deal. But they see it, it's like this magical thing. And it's like, it's in your blood, man, you know, and starts at a young age.
Hard work and dedication.
Yeah, hard work, dedication, a lot of bullshit.
Right.
I mean, lots, you know how that
I
goes.
mean, it tends to happen. Yeah, it's kind of
Right.
You gotta
these
bleep
days.
that out.
Oh, yeah, wait, we have to watch our language?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Were you?
That's all right. We got First Amendment rights. The kids will
Ryan,
not be
were you-
watching this. So.
Cheers.
Ryan, you're a drummer too, right? You're
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
I do some drumming and then I mess around with some of the metal stuff. I kind of got into doing a whole lot of thrash, and so not a whole lot of Megadeth and only a couple of Metallica, but I've been doing more of Death Angel, and I'm actually getting ready to do some Dark Angel next.
Oh, nice.
So actually for Dmitri, when he was off the screen, he should have been like, "This is your conscience." So, yeah,
I'm here next time.
that's right. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing the stories right here too. But let's go ahead and jump into the rise and fall right here too. So it seems like John and Steve, this kind of all started with you. Was that how it went, or how's the history go?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I think the basic, the foundation of the band kind of started, and it was just because we started jamming together. It wasn't like it wasn't planned. It's just I had tried to get this last project I was doing going, but there were so many times that was just frustrating. And plus, I was doing the lead vocals in that band, so I wanted to try to step back from doing lead vocals and focus more on playing guitar. And then a couple times he and I jammed. It was fun. It was like old times, you know, because we had played an original band years ago too for a while, and that dissolved, and we kind of came full circle. But at the time, we were just I put feelers out on Facebook, say, hey, I'm looking to put together or join an original project. You know, what's out there, and then like probably within a day or so, I got a text from him saying, hey, you know, I saw your text. I think let's get together and talk. I want to try to do something. I said, you know what? Because I've always, the project we were in before, he was the one of the people that I got along with the most because I had been playing with him for so long. The other guys were great guys, but I just felt a certain connection with him. So when we were getting together and we talked, and then we were like, I didn't know what to do, and well, let's look for a bass player and singer, and we were talking to a couple bass players, and then my wife and I went to see Lacuna Coil one day out in Joliet, which is a city near Chicago, and we went out to see that, and then because they have a female singer, and I'm like, you know what, that would be awesome to do have a female singer. It would be cool to do that. And then I was driving down to a buddy's wedding the next day, and he sends me a text of the same thing. We should get a female singer.
And the exact same thought.
He's like, but I don't know who to get. And I'm just like, I know exactly, and we'll have a bass player and a singer if it works out. So, and that's exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
And we just kind of moved on from there. So that's how it kind of got put together.
But even our history, if you think about it, like him and I started jamming together when I was 15, I think, and you were 14.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I was a freshman
in high school, and I wasn't like into any at that time. I'm a jazz drummer. That's how I started playing drums with jazz, and so I was 100% jazz all the time. That jazz and swing, big band, that kind of stuff, whatever. I was not into any rock music. So when Steve came over for the first time, I was like, by the way, the way that we started jamming when we were that age was just because he had long hair. Like, there's a dude with long hair. He must play guitar. Okay, I know. I'll go over whatever.
Let's play guitar.
Yeah.
I don't really even remember how we met.
You were so I rode.
I would have thought French horn.
I rode the bus. I rode the bus with you, and somebody was saying like you should jam with it. He plays guitar, and I was like,
okay.
Yeah, but I don't play I just play jazz. Doesn't he play jazz? And like so we played Lenny Kravitz's "Are You Gonna Go My Way" at the band concert. The band instructor said, "I'll give you." You can play one song at the chamber music concert. So you had only, the woodwinds and us playing that song. And we did it, and we were like, this was awesome. That was such a fun time. And that morphed into a band. And then, like he had said, the band dissolved. And then for a long time, we had kind of lost some communication, or maybe communicate every once in a while, whatever. So even the way that we had gotten back together too was just like the fact that we had that thought. We jammed a couple times. He came over, played some covers. Had no intention. I had no intention of being in a band again. I really did. And then just one day I was like driving with my wife, and I said, "You want to be in a band?" She's like, "Okay, here we go again." Okay, because as a drummer, we're going to be practicing here, probably, very likely. So I think it was like, okay, we'll see, whatever. And it was like very short after that where Steve had posted that. And I said, well, I think we should try to do something if we can. So the way that this whole thing has come together, and us meeting Dmitri and Kim, and the first time I met them, I think I wanted to meet them just to see like what kind of people they were, and it was like immediate, like it's like these are good people.
But you heard we were amazing. You wanted to meet us. You wanted pictures, autographs. I mean, it was. I mean, we understand.
Yeah.
Well, it's just weird, It's like,
No,
me knowing
I'm not like a fanboy. Come on.
Yeah.
it's weird because me knowing John, and then I also knew the two of them because they had done a different project.
Yeah, and we all knew each other.
Actually,
We all knew each other in some. We're like,
We didn't-
like you say, 2 degrees of separation. Yeah.
The only one we didn't meet was John knew Steve, but Kim and I never met John. But Steve, Kim, and myself, we've been on the scene for a long time.
Yeah.
We all knew each other. We got a lot of mutual friends, and John, we didn't know, and we never met him, and glad we did.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting how it all kind of came together, but
Or even the way we started. I didn't think that the sound that we have, that we've kind of formulated, I didn't imagine that this would be this. It's so much better than what I had in my head. Like I just figured, I was like, we'll just get together and play weirdo, like who knows, experimental, whatever. Because left to my own devices, I always go weird, just weird, like jazz impresario. So, but yeah, the way that we've been able to write songs and the style that we write songs in, I think has been different, much different than what I had in my head. But it just far exceeds anything I ever imagined it would be.
I was gonna have incorporated jazz at some points, and like even like
Oh,
death metal too. So yeah.
Because I don't currently play double kick, working on it, but I've just never been a double kick guy. So I think, even my drumming is maybe not a prototypical like hard rock metal, but I bring that kind of jazz influence to it. But,
it's like Bill Ward from Sabbath. He's got that jazz style to it, and he makes that music groove. And some of our songs, John adds that to it, and the songs groove. So it's actually kind of cool, and it doesn't sound as, like, okay,
Typical. Yeah.
So you add a little bit of difference with rock and jazz, but it's great to have that jazz influence to it,
Like
Also plays with the old people too, yeah.
Movie bass line. John has the jazz. Kim has the classically trained, and I'm the metal.
and you put that all in a pot, and this is what you get.
The rise and fall. So yeah.
That's it.
I guess whose idea was the band name? Was it something that was always in the back of your mind?
And
So no, the band name was rough.
took us.
It took us probably the longer to come up with a name than it ever was to write a song. It just, every name that you could think of was taken somewhere on the internet or sounded too close to something else. But we had some doozies. We kept putting names in a pot and voting. And let's see, what was some of the zany ones? Shoe Corner Mafia was one of them. Ebenezer Burns.
Some in the basement.
Yeah, Voices in the Cellar. Well,
Basement Dwellers.
There were some
St. John's Pour or something.
Yeah.
St. John.
a lot of goofy names, but it was so funny because we actually were going to call ourselves Here Shadows Lie. That was going to be the name. We all kind of agreed that at least we all liked it. And I know I was sitting down at my computer and I was like, oh man, I really like, it just came to me, the rising fall. I'm like, I kind of like the opposite, rising and fall. It's like, it's different, the contradiction of the terms. And I think I asked him, like, what do you think of this? And everybody really liked it. And it's so funny. So after months of trying to come up with a name, it like literally took me like one day, it just came in my head. But we did find out later there is another The Rising Fall in France. and they're a punk band. So I was like, you know what? They are completely different than us, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I mean, whatever name you think is unique is not. You will find the goofiest names in Europe or whatever, and somebody has your name. It's, so. But we don't have to fight Google right now. We're good, so.
I love the name. I think it does describe us well. But ultimately getting to that name was quite the challenge. Yeah, like you said, much more challenging than writing the songs, because writing the songs, it seems like typically we're able to do it pretty quickly, pretty well, pretty efficiently. But when it came to the name, we're just like, could not get down on one name. It just was like, okay. So
Well, and I think with the music is,
That was it.
I don't want to say the music is easy to put together, but we painstakingly, go through different scenarios on what we want to hear. And then Kim has her ideas on what she wants to do melodically and vocally. And I know, music is the feel of it. So it's a little bit easier. But when you're talking about a name and lyrics, that takes a little bit more time, because it has to be perfect. I mean, nothing can ever really be perfect, but in our vision, as perfect as we can make it.
And we had to come up with a name that represented our music. I mean, there's some great names out there, but I'm like, that sounds like we're death metal. Like that is, I mean, so that was another thing. What's going to actually sound like? It could go hard rock, it could go metal, could go
Right the neck.
Vampire tribute.
Yeah, or so. Yeah, okay. See, you think it's a goth band, but bite the neck, So you never know.
Halloween.
Yeah. So.
I mean, if we were going goth, I think it would have been like something like Typo Negative in a way. So
Yeah.
I can see what. Actually, I see what sort of tattoos were you showing off? Do you have a tattoo of your band logo on there?
No, they're talking about yin yang. So let me step up a little bit. There's a yin yang tattoo I got. I honestly just kind of look for different things in a book or different cool tattoos. This is a little bit of a snake one, and then Children of Bodom. Couple tattoos. So like Metallica, of course. And then my day job is working with Spanish, so I have an Aztec warrior over here I recently got. So, and then plus I got Megadeth tattoos on my leg. Oh, geez. I have to do one of these. No, I got a Vic Rattle.
Don't take your pants off, please.
No, leave them on, man. It's not one of them practice.
No.
This is a family-friendly show.
Yes.
No, I got
Try
a
to
Vic
keep it
Rattle
friendly,
head on
so.
my calf. I got a Slipknot on my calf. Cowboys from Hell, CFH on my shoulder. Couple other tattoos, but nothing. I'm the only tattoo enthusiast of the band.
None of us have them, right?
So yeah, I think I'm the only one that does.
Yeah.
I had a lot of piercings before, but now I don't.
Yeah. One of the next
job
ones
was
is
his
to be the Rise and Fall
Punk
of the
days.
tattoo.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Brian, what'd you say?
I was gonna say that was when John was in his punk days, getting all the piercings and all that. in
Yeah.
his face. So yeah.
Bleach blonde hair too. Is
Yeah.
like
Well, I had hair, and I used to dye it all the time, and I had every piercing you could think of. I had my labret, my septum, bunch of my eyebrows, whatever, and I don't have any. But however, though, it's all come full circle, because now I'm going to take my daughter to get her nose pierced next week.
Oh.
Let's not say it too loudly.
Oh, now it's on
Make
tape.
it something pierced too.
Now,
Oh.
It's out there for the world to hear. So
Stay tuned.
hey, can you post this podcast like in the next couple of days so we can have his wife watch it and then break the news?
No, she can't know about this. Hold on, she's right up there.
She's gonna see it.
Sorry.
She's gonna see her
you're
daughter.
gonna see it eventually. So
Oh boy.
yeah, it's gonna be in the bag
We're
eventually.
probably gonna be rehearsing somewhere else
Sorry,
after that.
we gotta shut it down. Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. All right. Great choices there, nonetheless. And actually, I was gonna say, good thing you didn't do the Little John in terms of piercing necks.
Yeah, well, John.
Okay. All right. In terms of influences, next, Kim, who would you say really influenced you in terms of keyboards and vocals?
So I would say classical music in general really was a lot of influence, but Kate Bush is probably my number one influence. I saw her perform. I was really young, and she's a pianist as well. And I heard, wow, this melody, and it was really strange. She's very esoteric. I mean, she's not your typical musician, but I fell in love with that. This woman was like very powerful. She wrote interesting songs. She's a piano player. She sings. And I saw her perform, I think, on Saturday Night Live. And I was blown away. And I don't know, something stuck with her performance with me. And she was just, I mean, I look back at that performance and I go, what the heck did I see? I mean, it was really strange. I mean, she's in like a cat suit on the piano when she's doing sinewy moves or whatever. And she's got this operatic type of voice or whatever. And the song is just like this little fairy tale that she wrote about. But I was like enamored. And I wanted to write very strange music like her. I really, really liked it. And that was my biggest influence, as far as, I mean, my number one. And to this day, I think I might vocally approach some things and do some things that are a little bit different than most singers might do, because she took her chances and I'll take my chances too. You know, I'm like, don't want to emulate anyone particular, but I do think she does. I kind of, it's always in the back of my mind too, like, what would Kate do? You know, so
Everybody has a musical spirit animal.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you're like that.
She was
There's
my-
something that resonates with you.
yeah. And I mean, typical, like now running up the hill when it was in Stranger Things. I mean, that song's a monster, but I heard it way back when and I loved it. I was like, you're now finally not finding out her genius. I mean, now, I mean, she was
The world
prolific
catching up to her now.
songwriter. Yeah, they are. You know, everyone's more accepting now. So, you know, but yep, that was my number one influence.
I have so many and they're so vast, but my musical influences are really two groups. It comes down to Deftones and Beastie Boys. And honestly, like their art is so different, but it's kind of related. And Deftones are actually huge fans of Beastie Boys, and Beastie Boys living Beastie Boys are fans of the Deftones. So these two groups that are, you know, one is a harder, I guess you can call them metal in a way, band, and one is a hip hop group. But they each bring elements that resonated with me as a kid. You know, I first, you know, got into Beastie Boys when I was 9 years old. And I just knew that I was like, whatever they're doing, I love this. This is me, you know. And hip hop influenced me huge as a kid. And then when I heard Deftones the first time, I said, yeah, whatever they're doing now. I love their drummer, Abe Cunningham, one of my favorite drummers. But those two groups musically have been huge influences. I'm not just saying the music. I'm saying the whole package, the way they present their art to the world, the way they live their lives. You know, publicly, we don't obviously know them, but the way that they present themselves, I think, from top to bottom, really was what I was looking at as musical influences. And the way they dress, everything about them would just resonated with me. So, but that's musically, I would say.
The
Like-
Adidas, got the Adidas going on.
Yeah, I got jumped in high school because I was wearing Adidas. I was like, hey, I don't care. Beastie Boys wear Adidas. I'm wearing it too. There was a time where Adidas was not cool to wear, and that time was when I was in high school. So,
I mean, I know Korn did a song called Adidas too, and
yes,
what
yeah,
they did
yeah,
about
I
reputation.
was a huge fan of them as well. I still like them.
Run DMC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he makes fun of my Adidas shoes too. He's like, you got your Run DMC shoes on. I'm like, yep.
I actually saw Run DMC in concert at a rave party. It was amazing. It was one of the best I'd ever seen. But yeah, musically, that's kind of where I come from. But like in life, you know, my parents are my influence. You know, I kind of look at the way that they live their life, and I try to model myself after what they've done for their family and for me. So, and that's why I'm here.
We should ask if there was a day where all day he just dreamt about sex. So yeah, that's actually what they did for Adidas. That's the chord song. It's all day I dream about sex. So yeah.
Adidas, yeah.
So, all right, Steve.
All right, so some of my influences, band-wise, would be, you know, the big four, you know, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax. Also, like, you know, bands like Pantera. Pantera was a huge influence on me in high school. You know, Megadeth is a huge influence on me. Was a huge influence on me band-wise. You know, Dave Mustaine's a brilliant songwriter, in my opinion. A lot of the guitarists he's had are just amazing. On what they bring to the plate at the time. You know, Marty Friedman's a huge influence on me. His playing is second to none in the style that he does. A lot of the exotic scales and exotic sounding leads. George Lynch is another favorite of mine. I like his approach to writing songs. I like how he keeps a lot of the rhythms simple, and then his solos just go off. As far as other bands, like on my heavier end, I'm a huge death metal fan. I've been into bands like Cannibal Corpse and Deicide and a lot of bands like that, and even melodic death metals like Soilwork and In Flames. I really do. I like In Flames. I like the harmonies that they do. Unfortunately, with only one guitar player in the band, I have to try to figure out how to program all that into some of my equipment, so that way when we do it live, I can try to at least come in with some of the harmonies when we do it live.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. So, but as far as like Cannibal Corpse, like I like a lot of the complicated writing, but it's just it's too overcomplicated sometimes. So, but I mean that's who they are. I mean, our style is not that. I like to be, like I said, simple, because that's a very specific genre of music that not a lot of people are into it. But I mean, I'm not trying to be the most popular person out there, but I'm just trying to think about what works for what I want to do. So I want to say that Lynch is definitely one of my favorite players as far as that's concerned, because he kind of keeps a lot of the rhythms simple enough. I know some of our rhythms are probably not super simple.
Oh yeah, Steve was like, "What is that? Is that 9, 7, 6, 8? What is that time signature?"
The beginning of March of the Ants, where I still don't know what it is.
Yeah,
I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna go.
And we can't count it out, and it's like, yeah. It's fun though. I actually love that. I love having that different kind of rhythms and time signatures in our music. And
or like Hell on My Chest.
That's no one realizes it's bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, it's 3/4 and 4/4.
Yeah.
So it's like and it's just I don't always like think about like, oh, let me write to this time signature.
Yeah.
I just when I come up with a riff, I come up with a riff, and it's just whatever time signature it is, we'll just kind of fit it in when we're trying to like organize it and make it a little bit more fluid. So. But yeah, that probably be a lot of my influences. I don't know if I mentioned Steve Vai. Steve Vai is another influence. Amazing player. And he's like all over the map as far as his abilities and his where he puts a lot of his things. And he's kind of like about as crazy as I get, and as out there as I get musically, because he is definitely out there. John Sykes is another great guitar player.
Keep going on.
Whitesnake.
We'll be here for a while.
Yeah.
We'll be here for a while. So I mean, those are like.
Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
I don't know. I can't even think of who else. But yeah, those are a lot of the main ones that I was. Maiden, yeah. You know what? I know. What?
Is that a Maiden shirt?
Yeah,
That is a Maiden shirt.
yeah.
Oh boy, you're speaking somebody's.
You
Oh,
got
we got
somebody's
him next.
attention.
Oh,
Yeah, and you got a fan for life.
man. We'll have our own podcast after this.
I just saw him in concert not too long ago, but sorry, Steve,
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
do we. We went to 2 of them.
So I will pass this off to Dmitri.
As far as bass playing goes, I started playing bass. Basically, what drove me was the middle section, the interlude of Orion by Cliff Burton. When he wrote that middle section, that kind of just grabbed me. It showed me that bass could be used as a melodic instrument as well. I mean, he's a great bass player. Him, Geezer Butler, and Steve Harris are my top 3. I borrow everything from them. Started with them and then just branched out after that, like Geddy Lee, John Paul Jones, Stu Hamm, David Ellefson, Jason Newsted, who's a phenomenal bass player, and just learning from all these other bass players. But Cliff, Geezer, and Steve Harris are my top 3. I mean, Maiden, Metallica, and Sabbath are 3 of my favorite bands, and every person in those bands are great musicians. So like I said, Bill Ward's one of my favorite drummers from Sabbath, and Nico McBrain's one of my favorite drummers. And obviously after the news today, hearing that he's retiring, but anyway, it's tough. But Nico's great because he's got that old school way of playing, and Bill Ward, but not to diverge off that, but yeah, man. I mean, all those metal bands are great from a musician standpoint and from a songwriting standpoint. And I think a lot of us, even with like Steve, I Steve and I listen to a lot of the same bands with Megadeth and everything. The songwriting in those bands, when you listen to it, is very unique on how they structure songs, and whether it's guitars or drums, bass, vocals, guitar harmonies. It's a unique style people like us who are influenced by. It comes out in our writing,
Mm-hmm.
and you can hear it. Like, there's a song, Breaking the Chain, when Steve does his solo. Behind it is a bass line, and it's very Geezer Butler like.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's got a lot of groove to it. And then during the verses, from a bass playing standpoint, I do a lot of it's triplets. So it's a gallop. It's like a Steve Harris, and it's driving that song along with the drums and the guitars. So there's a lot of that influence in there. And then you hear some of the stuff like John does with, the ride cymbal. I say, hey, Dave Lombardo called. He wants his ride back because he's got that. When you listen to Slayer, you hear that ride cymbal that Lombardo plays, and that's what gives Slayer that little extra sound, the edge. And John does it great. I love that ride work. I love
And that's all jazz based too.
and that's there again. But it's that old school rock, metal, even like some of the stuff Kim was saying with like the Kate Bush, it all blends together, and somehow we process it, and we write our own songs, and you'll hear that in our songs. That makes any sense? Hopefully.
Makes sense.
That does. Actually, the Tire Maiden shirt, I actually got it. They came to my hometown of Pittsburgh, and I actually saw them in concert.
Yeah, on this year on the Days of Future Past tour or whatever.
Yep, that's correct.
Yep.
I just found out today that Nico was retiring too. So.
Yeah, tonight's the last show in Brazil.
Sao Paulo, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know you guys were talking about Slayer. I actually did the entirety of Hell Awaits from Slayer. So, go check it out on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, jump into the hard topic of COVID right here, too. So, obviously, it seemed like there was a lot of history with the band right here, too. So, I guess, was this band formed, after COVID?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
22.
2 years ago.
22. Yeah, essentially, COVID kind of like put my last project to bed.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, because there was a lot of weird things going on, and I was just, like I said, I was kind of done with doing lead vocals, so I was kind of trying to look for something else to get into. So, yeah. So as far as
Well, we were come back with, but the band that we were in
Oh, that's right.
was a Megadeth tribute, and it was in the beginning of 20. I think I was going to do my last show with you guys. We were going to do it at
oh yeah,
Ears or something. What the hell is that place called?
I think so. It was
And-
in Midlothian.
Yeah, and the week before, I think we were playing with Made in Chicago. And the week before, like the governor said, they shut everything down,
Mhm.
and then that was it for all music. I mean, that whole COVID area. I mean, it was bad for a lot of people, obviously. But
Yeah.
a lot of people stayed home. They did their Zoom and they wrote songs and did whatever. But it's
And we didn't. I mean, I was thinking, man, we wasted like 2 years.
Yeah.
We could have been writing stuff, just
we would have had
we would have had that
4 albums.
4 albums.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, this project was post-COVID.
Yeah.
So any other projects that we were in or whatever, like Steve was saying, I mean, that was kind of put on everything got shut down. So obviously,
But also though, it didn't affect us like directly, but a lot of the clubs that we would have played at after COVID shut down permanently too. So
Yeah.
when you start wanting to gig again, half the venues had closed down. They didn't make it. And so that kind of put us at a disadvantage too. So even though we weren't really a band coming out of COVID, there were a lot of venues that weren't available anymore to
And it
play.
hasn't recovered.
Yeah.
yeah, there's still places that are. I mean, they're around, but other ones have closed the past year or two. It's a residual effect of COVID. So
And I know the only thing I was doing during that time was I had actually done a Whitesnake tribute during that time, and because there were a few clubs that were fighting a lot of it and staying open and pretending to, follow whatever rules were set in place because of it. And yeah. Absolutely. So a little bit of smaller venues, but there were a few places that were actually fighting it and staying open. And with the Whitesnake tribute, we kind of did a lot of that. And but it was weird though, like doing a couple shows in some bigger venues when you think it would probably be a better crowd, or more people, and there still were a lot of people that didn't want to come out. And I understand to a point. Hey, nobody wants to get sick.
Yeah.
But, well,
Yeah, it's just been different ever since then. I just, everything changed, and I think the music industry as a whole has not recovered, and people have had to find different ways too, and I think it kind of forced everybody to be a little bit more creative and say like, all right, well, this is the way it is right now. What do we do to combat that? And that's where people were getting into live streaming and things like Twitch. People were doing Twitch. I was doing Twitch because I'm a DJ as well. So I was like, well, I can't go out and play, and I wasn't even kind of like that. But I was doing live streams here in my basement of me on Twitch just spinning for 3 hours. I usually don't do the sprinkler when
I was the sprinkler.
afterwards. Yes.
Yeah. The lawnmower.
the washing machine.
Oh wait,
The washing machine.
what's the washing machine?
I don't know. It's a cumbia thing from the Selena movie.
Okay. We could go on though.
How you even know that? Beyond me, but cool.
Long story.
Influence.
Another podcast.
We'll save it for another one, but in all seriousness, like,
The dance movements is the part two of this.
When the rising fall went to
My
left.
DJ years.
Spanish version. El aumento caído.
what Steve said. Hey.
Yeah.
Well,
Actually, in all seriousness, did you guys ever get sick with COVID, or you and your families okay?
Oh, I'm sure.
I had the OG of COVID, the original, and very mild though. Just lost my smell.
Yeah.
I didn't even really lose my taste, and just a little bit of achiness and that, but that was all I ever experienced, and I never got it again. I mean, it's kind of amazing. Yep.
Yeah, I knew some people that had it still have lingering side effects.
Yeah, long COVID. Yeah.
Don't know anyone that passed away, thank
No,
God. But
yeah.
Me neither.
We had 3 people in our family pass away.
really,
Oh,
So it definitely had a huge effect on us, but and that's when I was like, all right, I can't go anywhere. I was afraid to do anything for a little bit. But I first got it last year, so this is well after any kind of lockdown or anything. Remember last year? Yeah, because I think we were trying to play a show or something. I was like, hey guys, I was bad.
We couldn't
for a long
practice.
Yeah, it was pretty
yeah,
bad.
because you're the family guy.
We all got it. I got it first, and then everybody got it after me. So definitely had a huge effect.
So we have to take COVID test after we leave rehearsal just to make sure.
I
know I had it a few times. I think I had it like right before they started like bringing it out. Because I had a really, really bad cough, and I think like when I was trying to sing, especially with the last project I was in where I was doing the lead vocals in an original band, I was doing death metal vocals, and it was a little difficult to try to do that, and that's why I was like trying to get away from it. But I think I've improved since then, but I think I can still feel like some lingering effects.
It's crazy.
So I've had it for a few times. I just don't feel the same. I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or just because.
Well, it might be more that. Yeah.
There might be other things involved.
Yeah, there could
If
be a
you wake
lot.
up every morning feeling terrible because everything hurts, that's just getting older.
You may have old age.
Yeah. There's a pill for that, It's called cyanide.
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't think we're going that
Sorry.
far, but actually, I was gonna say Steve. Actually, Steve woke up early. He's like,
Real quick,
Jesus.
John.
Waltz.
Sorry.
actually, I think if you're just gonna say you're old, you're gonna say it like, Jesus, I'm old. So yeah. So
You have COVID?
you know what I did, and funny, actually, I went like 2 3/4 of the during the pandemic, not getting it because we still traveled within the states. We played it safe. And the one time you don't bring a whole lot of masks with you, you take it to Nashville and bar hop on Broadway for a little bit there.
Oh, yeah.
So it actually started by that, and I got it afterwards. I tried hopping on my drum set, and I couldn't do it. I was fatigued, to be honest.
Yeah, that's.
But then I also got a fever that night there, too. So I was almost tempted to jump in the shower and just crank the heat up to do it that way. So
Yeah.
Should have just had more cowbell.
I should have more cowbell. So yeah.
Should have just got some more cowbell with that.
But I don't know how well it works with death metal and bolt thrower. So
Oh, bolt thrower. Okay.
that's what I was trying to do. So I'd say, hey, if I wanted to do Don't Fear the Reaper, I probably would have. That probably would have been a cure. So
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, and sorry for your losses there, John. So, yeah, good to see you guys are doing well there too. So good to have you guys around here too. So, okay. So jump into the next one right here. I guess, Kim, what sort of gear do you have? And I guess this is the studio where all the magic happens.
No, this is just our practice space. Studio, when we actually recorded it, we went to a professional studio to have all of that tracking done. But
This is John's.
this is John's
like
den.
This is my playhouse.
Yeah.
Everybody tread
This is
carefully.
the music cave.
So my
Man
equipment
cave.
is a microphone. That's pretty much it. That's all I have to worry about. That's all I. Well, a keyboard, but I have one little baby keyboard when we have small space on stage. That's not even mine. It's his aunt's that is how old is that? 20-something years old, I think. And then I have a full weighted keyboard that it's just got piano and string sound.
That's
in it.
right over there.
Yeah, it's right off camera, but it's a Casio. I don't have anything really like major as far as my equipment goes, which makes a lot less things go wrong. That's all I've got to say.
Less points of failure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have the least amount of equipment of anybody here. So,
I guess you're pretty John then.
I have my drum set is Pearl Vision Birch set. I've had it for about 12 years. It's worked really well for me. As far as like cymbals, I'm all over the place. I just go. I don't have a particular brand that I'm like, oh, I just love Zildjian cymbals or I love Peisty or whatever that is. I'm kind of all over the place. I have a little bit of everything. I just go on sound, what sounds good to me, and what fits our songs too. I mean, now lately the choices that I make with my drums are, I'm taking into account what they're going to sound like in our music. This isn't just about me at this juncture. So, but I mean, I don't really use anything that's, I'm pretty simple. The only thing that I'm very particular about, well, okay, what am I talking about? I'm so full of shit. Which I just got asked to play somebody's drum set last week. I was like, no, I'm good. I'll play my own set. I am particular. I don't know how you feel, but like when you show up and they're like, hey, we're going to do a community drum set, I have a quick panic attack because I'm like, oh, but then this drum isn't going to be right here where I want it. No, I can't do that. But I've adapted pretty well.
You're good. Yeah,
Yep.
you have.
I've gotten
He's
better
had to
at
play more on other kids than your own,
I
actually.
think, we played 7 shows, and I think I played 3 on other kids.
Yeah.
But fortunately,
That seems to be but that seems to be more like back in the day. Everyone used their own drum kit, and now it's like, oh, bands are like, well, we can share.
Yeah.
I mean, we can always share cabinets and stuff, which is a lot easier because all you got to do is just put your head, or if you got a rack, and just do that. But like drums, if your drums are tuned a different way, you got it set up, and this is what your rack is, and you're playing on someone else's kit, you might not be used to. I mean, I'm not a drummer, but I can imagine like you're going, I wanted to hit it there, but now I got to hit it over here. It kind of mess you up a little bit, but you want to be familiar with your kit because that's what you practice on, and your sound when you're coming through your amps and stuff. You don't want to deviate too much from it because it's convenient. You want to make sure that the band's going to sound like good because playing live, if you come across, that's what you want. Sharing the drum kits is fine for convenience, but I prefer when John uses his own drums because I know he's used to it. Everything's going to sound great and more comfortable. He's not going to be, oh shit, I don't know where to hit this now.
well, that's exactly it. Is just the placement. That's the only thing I freak out over because I know that I'm a little bit unconventional because I have a 5-piece kit, but I stagger my toms where I have a tom directly in front of me, and then I have my ride cymbal on my right because I like to have the ride very close to me, and I have my left tom staggered to the left like this. So if another drummer wants me to play his drum kit, their drum kit, I just need to make sure I can set it up the way that I need it set up. But otherwise, the only other thing I use that's custom are Zildjian coated sticks. I'm big on the coated sticks because my hands sweat like terribly, like really, really bad. Just my hands are just drenched, so I have to like wipe my hands between every song and just with a little towel. So I use coated sticks to get a little bit more better grip.
Yeah, and you want to be comfortable when you're playing on your own stuff because otherwise you might be like, if you're normally a 4-string bass player and then you play on a 5-string at a show when you're a guest bass player, right? Not even your own equipment.
Unknown.
Yeah.
Unknown. Oh, you show up to a show because just to go see it, and then like, oh, hey, you want to play bass tonight?
It's almost like
don't have any
an
gear
or something. You know?
Yeah. So okay, another time. Okay, I guess it's my turn. So
Yes.
my gear probably has the most. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I actually have 3 real amps. I have a PV 5150, the old school Eddie Van Halen amp from the 90s, big black letter. I use that a lot. I love that amp. I've owned it since the 90s. It's what I use at practice here. I also have a Mesa Boogie triple rectifier, one at home that I own, and there's one here that I used that was theirs from their last project that they brought for me to use every once in a while. I also have a Randall RG 1003 for Pantera tributes or just as a practice amp. I have 2 Marshall cabs and I have 2 Gens-Benz cabs. So if I wanted to, I could like probably operate 2 full stacks of cabs. But recently, what I usually play live is I use a Kemper. I just bought a Kemper back in March, and that's what I made a reference to earlier about programming stuff. It's a great amp. It's profiling amp. You can put whatever sound you want in there. You can capture sounds. I love it. It's a lot of front loading on how to figure out how to work it, and I'm kind of getting used to it. I did buy a Helix LT at one point, but it wasn't my game. So I just recently sold it. And as far as pedals are concerned, a lot of the effects I'm trying to like channel through the Kemper now, but I use like phaser delay on solos. I probably use like compression, maybe like harmonizers. I have a Digitech whammy pedal that I use once in a while. I also have a dime wah that's my best wah I use. I have like crybabies too, but I prefer the dime because it's more programmable and the range that you can use with it, the treble and the bass. It also has a nice booster with it too. So as far as cables, I try to go Mogami. I told you, man.
Oh, your guitar.
All right,
Let's
guitar.
know your guitars.
Guitar.
Go to the cable.
All right, guitars.
Picks are next.
Well, actually, Jazz Street Dunlop, yeah, black. So I can't find it when I drop them. So anyhow, guitars. I actually recorded our 5 tracks with the rhythms. I recorded with a Gibson Les Paul. So Gibson Les Paul Studio 2013 model, has a couple boosts and stuff. It's pretty cool. I love it. I love the sound. It's great. And also recorded it with a Jackson Warrior. I recorded some leads with that. So those are the 2 main guitars I use with that. But recently I just bought a nice Schecter guitar that has the color of our logo with it. I've never owned a Schecter guitar before. However, I think this guitar is me. At least definitely for this band, and I feel that I can play very well on it and smoothly.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful guitar.
It is. Other than that, like for when we play live, I use a loop pedal, a Digitech Jamman stereo loop pedal that I put out like a lot of our samples on, and maybe some sound effects. And then whenever we're at practice, I have a mixing board that I supplied for the band.
Okay.
A PreSonus one that's pretty cool, and then we do a lot of our demos with that. So all right, I'm done.
Steve, is it Hanes underwear?
So he's our tech junkie.
It's Haynes.
Okay. Nailed
I would
it.
say Steve's the tech junkie. So yeah,
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
a little.
Yeah,
So all right,
I-
Dmitri.
I hate gear, and I have a lot of it that I'm trying to sell. I don't even know how I got it, but for my basses, I've got 2 Yamaha Attitude basses, the Billy Sheehan model basses with the hip shot. And as far as gear goes, I still have my 410 Trace Elliott I bought back in '97, I think it was. 410 Trace Elliott with a horn cab, and then my Trace Elliott, my 300 watt head, solid state head that I still use. I love it. But got an old SVT Ampeg head, weighs 900 pounds. It's great. Trying to sell it. I bought a trainer head with tubes. It's great. I want to sell it. Got another head. I got to take it in, get it repaired. I got another cab. I got an SWR 15 cab. Like, I just want to keep it simple. I want to sell some stuff because I really like to get just to kind of keep gear minimal when we play out and everything like that. And I've got a few pedals here and there. that I use for songs. I'm not a big pedal guy, but it's the necessity. But no, I don't like gears. Steve he has a lot of gear. I got friends who are bass players, guitar players. They've got all the stuff, and I'm like
20 bass.
I just want to plug in, get a good tone, which I still haven't found after 30 years of playing.
Oh, your bass.
Eventually
Stuff.
will.
You gotta say what bass you use.
I did Yamaha's.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, but that's it. I mean, I'm a bass player. We don't need to go too crazy.
What kind of cables do you use, though?
Yeah.
I don't even use cables. I'm not even plugged in. I'm like Jason Newsted off the And Justice for All album. You don't need to hear me. They're like, yeah, just throw them up on stage and we'll just turn them down.
Or your wristbands? What brand are those?
Yeah. What are your sweatbands?
No, that would be Iron Maiden. Oh, I'll show you really quick.
Oh, no, you open
Oh, right here.
Created a monster.
In honor of Iron Maiden and Steve Harris. Let's see, where's
Nico,
the
right?
Nico, yeah. In Flight 666, if you can see this. I don't know if you can. Is it
It's
too?
up here.
I don't know.
I'll tell your fingers on the way, but there we go. Flight 66, yeah.
Yeah, Flight 666. That's bought this in Michigan.
No, it's show and tell. Oh, here it comes.
Oh, wait, we got.
Here it comes.
I'm going to let Steve go.
John, get your
No,
snare.
because I have to make a quick
Okay.
laptop charger.
Here's the sector.
John, get your snare.
Yeah.
Closer.
The Schecter.
Green. Yeah.
Pretty nice. He has a Sustainiac in the bridge, in the neck.
That's money.
Yeah.
That's why these guys play next. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yep.
I mean, you got there's gear.
I
John's
love
getting his
gear.
guys. He's getting his laptop word charger. Yeah, so it doesn't die out on us.
Hopefully not. All right. I guess while we're waiting for John right
John
there.
Now we
can
can
talk
talk about
shit about him when he's not here.
Actually, you might be able to talk a little shit right here too, but actually, you said you guys all take duties in the songwriting process, and I guess what do your lyrics normally delve into?
Yeah, it comes to me. Yeah, I am the lyricist of the group. The typical, what I'm just going to say, it comes from personal experience, but I will say though, I do write about things that are more historical and also have some kind of cultural reference as well. For example, Hell on My Chest, that was written about Roland Doe, I think I got his name right, who The Exorcist was written about. So that song is all basically biographical about this guy, or at the time was a kid, who was supposedly possessed by the devil. I mean, we all know the story of The Exorcist, but what I found really fascinating about it was that there's controversy whether it really happened or not. Like, there were so many different viewpoints. So the whole song is really about that controversy. It's not just about a kid who was possessed. It's about, did he do this as a, to get attention, or was he really what you would consider, if you believe in that, demonically possessed? So that's definitely a one that's more, it's angled right now because he plugged it in, and so we're all going to lean to the right, like we're on a boat. Like, yeah.
Didn't get my V8.
Yeah.
Do
So
from
that was
left to right,
definitely,
yeah.
Breaking the Chain was actually written about COVID restrictions. That was the influence on that. So that's really coming from kind of more the culture and the political environment and everything that took place. And then other ones are about more personal things. I really don't like to go into like what it may mean personally to me, because sometimes I might write it from somebody else's viewpoint, maybe not something that really was something that was affecting me in general, but I took a story of somebody that went through something, and I use that as kind of telling their story. But I like to also, as everybody, like a lot of lyricists say, I really don't want to tell you what it's about. I kind of want the listener to kind of deduce what that song means to them, because you can say what it was supposed to be, and the person believes it's something else, and then they just might be disappointed going, man, that's not what I thought that song was about. So I kind of don't want to kind of give a lot of details about it, but again, personal, historical, cultural, it doesn't matter. I guess whatever that song dictates to me and what I hear in my head.
It's like a lot of bands with like Metallica and Megadeth and Maiden. You hear, the lyrics they write. They tell stories about war, history, death, whatever it is, and it's like it's relatable. Sometimes you hear a band, and you're like, I don't even know what these lyrics mean. Some of my favorite bands have lyrics, and I'm like, no, this this is not good.
I still don't get Rush. I don't understand the lyrics to Rush. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's like,
Neil Peart
what?
Wrote the
is a
lyrics.
genius. Yeah.
I'm like, I still don't get
Well,
it.
Dio's hard to decipher because that's a lot of metaphors in his music. And it's like, but lyrically, like she said, you can listen to the lyrics, you can decipher, but you understand it's telling a story of some sort. And
Right.
Yeah, I think all of our songs lyrically, they each do a good job, or not a good job, but a great job of telling some kind of story, whatever it is particular to that song. You know, each one, like Artificial Degeneration, is maybe a little bit more socio-political or something like that, right? But the lyrics always paint a really, really good picture and tell a story, and you end up saying like, okay, I felt like I just watched like a half-an-hour TV show because the story was told.
yeah,
during that
good
time.
lyrics and good music makes the song more impactful. So,
That's good. I guess, how many songs are you guys coming out with this new album? And I guess, is this something for 2025?
So yeah, so the title of the EP is called Cycles, and we're going to be releasing the songs. We released the first two, Hell on My Chest and Breaking the Chain, already. Next is going to be
I Surrender. And then early 2025 will be our final two, which will be Artificial Degeneration and Becoming My Everything. We had recorded Becoming My Everything as a demo back when we did our Breaking the Chain demo as well, but a lot of people haven't really heard it. We didn't push it very much. So we're kind of hoping that this will be a pretty new song for a lot of people to first time hearing it as well. But we'll be done with the 5 songs. We're hoping already get in the studio. We have a lot of songs written. We just haven't recorded them, and we're trying to keep that momentum going and release a couple, every 2 to 3 months.
yeah, we're actually going to be rehearsing here after this to work on a couple new songs, like song ideas.
Yep.
So we have a show coming up in January that we want to try and see if we can write at least maybe one new one.
Yeah. It's going to be a very heavy show.
Venom Inc.,
Yeah.
which is like this offshoot of Venom. One of the 2 guys is in Venom Inc.
Yeah.
Kind of like you've got multiple, like you have the Great White, you had Jack Russell's Great White.
But they're pretty heavy,
Yeah, so it's going to be a heavy show, so let's probably get another heavier one in there, so we're going to be rehearsing after this and working on the song.
The quote Venom, crank up the amps, now it's night. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be interesting. So, I guess how many venues are still open in the Chicago area? Because I've actually interviewed a couple bands, mainly indie bands out of the Chicago area. So one of them happens to be actually a funny name. I know we were talking about funny band names earlier. Is Spamicidal Jelly, and then there's Bottom Iniquity is another one.
That would have been something he probably would have brought to the table. Seriously, that's a John.
A song title or a band name.
Yeah.
Johnism.
Yeah. My brain tends to go to the completely ridiculous, and whatever. But as far as these songs, we're so excited to get these out. I mean, we've been playing them out now for a while. Mm-hmm. And everybody has day jobs and everything, so to try to fit in shows where we can, where it makes sense, and play these songs out, it's so rewarding, and to be able to get to play them out, and to also kind of work out some, every time you play these songs, you have these songs down pat and you learn them and whatever, and you record them, and then even every time you play them, there's slight variations. You change something up a little bit. I like, because coming from a jazz background, I like that, like, it's going to be the song that you're going to hear that's on the record, but on the other hand, we're going to deviate. Just there are a couple little things that I change every time.
Yeah. So I love improvising. There's like some parts in some songs, not necessarily rhythms, but some of my leads, like I will keep like some stuff true and some stuff there's room for improv. So and I improv when there's room for it.
That's how bands like The Who, Sabbath, Zeppelin, those bands were like, our music is kind of similar to that, because it's kind of open. It's not as structured as like Rush, Dream Theater, Metallica, where it's like you got these riffs and these parts where it's like you got to stay exactly on it. It's a little bit more open, so it's like with drums, guitars, and bass, you have room to improvise a little bit live. So which is great because it's like you're not sitting there doing the same thing over and over where it's just textbook.
Keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh for us and the audience. And
Yeah.
not only that, but when you go to a live show, you go to a show. You don't. I mean, you want to play as close as possible to what you recorded.
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
Wow.
it's live. It's a performance. And then if someone sits there and my saying is like, hey, if you want to listen to the recorded song, go listen to the recorded song. If you want to go see a band live, you go to see a show. There's something extra that draws you to go see them.
That's true. And I forgot to mention another band, Invisible Cartoons. They're pretty colorful at their concerts there too. So
Are they all three from Chicago?
all three are in the Chicago area. Yeah,
Okay. We'll have to check them out. Yeah.
sounds good. And so I'm going to the next one right here, I guess. So what challenges do you guys face these days as musicians? That's out of age.
Age.
Quit acting your age.
Though,
We're
actually.
fighting father time.
Ooh, good song title.
Yeah.
I think from me personally, it's still being, the female in this kind of genre of music. It's just, I think it's becoming more accepting that, women can rock out with the men just as hard, but there's still a little stigma to that, that people like, especially when you play a show and you're playing with 4 bands and there's only one female in the whole group, you're like, everyone's like, what's she gonna sound like? That you just know that's all eyes are gonna be on you, and you just put forth your best performance or whatever, and hopefully you win them over. But I know that it's a lot of radio stations now are starting to see that the women now are starting to take over a lot more in the music as far as female fronted bands than there were before. I mean, we're still a minority of it. I like it, actually. I'm not saying that, there needs to be more women, but I like the challenge. So I guess that's for me personally, what it just being female and kind of more still a male dominated musical genre.
Yeah. I think
Maybe
it's
like the arch enemy.
too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, man, if I could get that growl, but I don't know.
Well, you do the growl.
Yeah, that just like
Sky.
every song is, and I'm like, I think I'm doing damage. I mean, unless you really know how to do it properly, I will probably never be that vocalist. But you know what? It doesn't fit this group. And honestly, I think it's better that a lot of females are doing that, and it's like, where's the ones that sing now, instead of that. Yeah.
So like arch enemy or something.
That's what he was saying. Yeah, arch enemy or what? Who's the other one? OTEP or
Butcher Babies too.
Yeah, so
Butcher Babies has like 2 female
they
things.
can do it. That's great. I mean, I don't have the talent to do that, but I like a melody. So
Spirit box. She could do
Yeah.
both. Yeah. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think for all of us, anybody who's who plays music and puts music out there for the public right now, the challenge they face is not getting lost in the shuffle. Basically, Spotify puts out 75,000 songs a week. So how do you not get lost in the shuffle? I mean, the opportunities that we have as artists are way more vast than they were 15, 20 years ago, of course. You have more of a chance to get your music heard, but you also are in a sea of artists and bands and of a lot of bad stuff, some good stuff, but still, it's hard to not get lost in that. It's hard to tell people, to get people to find you, So yeah, the opportunity's there, and that's great. But on the other hand, it's also really challenging, because the other thing too that I think we find is, a lot of venues, they only want to book cover bands. Do you guys do covers? Yeah, we do a cover or two, but we're not a cover band. We're an originals band. And, if we wanted to do a cover band, we could do that. We don't want to do that. That is has been a challenge, because we've had venues like they just want cover bands only. Oh, cover bands draw, original bands don't draw. I get it, but it's really can get disheartening
Right,
at times. So it's a hurdle that we have to get over, and I think we've done a pretty good job, in kind of aligning ourselves with people who have the same intentions that we do, other bands. And even if they're a cover band, if they're people who are down for music and love music, and you get that vibe from them, then we can rock with you. That's it. And I think we align ourselves with those kind of people. So I think that helps us a little bit.
Yeah, I would say as far as I go, like kind of piggybacking off what John just said, trying to get your name out there and just trying to be unique without it sounding forced. That you're just doing this just to sound unique, not because you are unique. And that's to me that's kind of a challenge, and especially from a guitar player perspective, it's hard to write new riffs because there's so many out there, and there's so many riffs that you want to write a good riff, you want to write a good song. I think the challenge really is just writing a good song that people can relate to and people can kind of draw in emotionally.
Trying sort of piggybacking off this, maybe expanding on it, but trying to find an audience who's looking to find like new original music, no matter what age they are, and then also, today, like everyone's attention span is about 3 seconds. Is trying to retain their attention to hear our songs rather than I'll check out 10 seconds of this song. Nah, I don't like it. I'm gonna skip to the next one. So it's back in the day, people listen to tapes, CDs, records from front to back. I was like, yeah, it's cool. Nowadays, everyone's just like instant gratification. If it doesn't catch you in like 3 seconds,
Yeah.
you've lost them. So it's like you need to find an audience who's into original music and is willing to give the time to that music and say, okay, you know what? And I think we kind of see a little bit of a renaissance of new original music coming back to the forefront. It's kind of cyclical. The covers and everything are cool. The tributes bands, and we've all done them and everything, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think people are wanting to hear some new music because all the bands that we love, they're kind of going by, they're getting older and stuff like that, and what's coming through, and you hear some new bands, but there's a lot of really good original bands out there. I mean, all over the U.S. and all over the world that you don't hear, and they just need to get an outlet and find an audience, and that audience to give the time to it.
Yeah, I can see why there too. So, I guess this could also tie with AI and social media here too. So I guess what do you guys think of it these days? Do you think it's taking over too much at this point, or what's your opinion?
Yeah. I'm not really familiar with it. I mean, I know what's happening, and there's a fear that AI is going to be replacing musicians, basically. I mean, you see that. You can program a voice to sing a melody. I mean, it's amazing. But I kind of choose to ignore it right now. I think for my own sanity, I don't want to think that we're replaceable anytime soon, So
it's hard to fight. It's hard to fight against it, but it's also a battle that what can you do? Like, what kind of impact, or what could you do that would have enough impact to change something anyway? So you kind of just have to adapt, And there's always I mean, there will come a point where there are some things that are automated, musically, and it does bother me. But what can I do about it? Truly, there isn't anything I can do about it. So all I can do is I can do my art in the way that I want to do it, and hopefully people like it. And I think the other thing too with us is that we, we're not doing this. We're not doing this for money or for fame or anything. That's how I know that all of us have the purest of ideas of where this thing can go. We're not doing it because we want everybody, hey, look at me, we're celebrities or we're famous or anything. We're all doing it because we love music, and we don't do it for the money or for any of the other stuff. There's a time in my life where I wasn't like that, where I think I did want that time is long gone. So I think we're doing it for the pure art form, and that's it. So.
Yeah, I think AI is pretty good with what it's targeted to accomplish, but I think it takes a lot of human element out of music, because I mean, it gets better and better and better, but it's just like, there's certain things that humans can do that AI can't. So I just, to kind of quote Daryl Abbott from Pantera years ago, I kind of like the human element out of it, because it's like you're kind of getting there, but you're not quite there. Or, there's like happy mistakes sometimes that you're like, I didn't intend on doing that, because if you tell AI to do something, it can only grab in from pre-programmed or something that's already out there anyway, and it just kind of remixes it, whereas we can remix it in a total different way that maybe AI can't anticipate.
robots are never going to be able to get feel or soul. It doesn't matter. Humans, as humans, those are the things that we have that robots will never be able to do.
Free will.
Yep.
Only thing about AI,
I would
though-
choose free will. So yeah.
Yeah.
We'll choose.
Rush, shout out.
Oh, shoot.
Rush, yeah.
Shouldn't say.
Yeah. AI, he played for the 76ers. As you know, his name's Allen Iverson. And
He was quite the player, man.
he
I tell you.
was talking about practice.
We're talking about practice. So
Yeah, practice. No, I don't know too much about AI,
Yeah,
and I don't know if I really want to right now at this point. I just want to keep
That's
going.
what I said.
so.
I'm just, yeah.
Very much so.
I only have interactions or knowledge of AI through work. So, because I sometimes use it for work. But
you
that's
know, discuss that line of work. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right. I see what your point there too. We'll have to see what happens with this new administration coming in. So hopefully they'll tackle this issue at some point. So all right. Tread carefully, as they say.
Yes.
So first of all, what social media are you guys on?
I think we're on everything except for Threads. We're not on Threads, but Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, X.
Twitter X.
Is there, besides Threads, is there another one?
We're not on Pinterest. We're not on.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we're not on Pinterest or LinkedIn. Yeah, right.
Oh, no.
And we're working on our MySpace page right now.
Yeah.
We don't have it quite done.
Well,
Throwback.
there is a new one, Blue Sky,
Yeah.
which I've seen people now migrating to that in some extent because of the restrictions that Facebook is putting on a lot of people with their posting and promotion.
Facebook.
It's becoming an unsocial platform, it seems like. But
Whatever.
so we're gonna maybe check that out because I think that might be a place we should still maybe look into.
We're on almost everything.
But pretty much everything. TikTok, we weren't on it until John put us on there, and honestly, I had no idea the amount of attention people have on TikTok. I mean, it's kind of scary how you can have 1,000 views to something within a matter of a day, but you post something on Facebook, you're like, oh, you got 8 views, after the month. So,
It's funny. Social media now is like obviously taken over and everything, but like the best social media was MTV back in the 80s with all these videos because it was right there in your face, and then it was on the radio and people heard it, and it was like you didn't have to comment on stuff. It was just simple and boom, and it was more effective, I think, than what the social media is now because it's like everything gets caught up in social media. Like John said, you're just a fish in a pond and it's in an ocean, and it's like you get lost. And
you would watch a video and then go to school.
Yeah,
And then say, oh, do you see that?
and
you see that?
And then you go out and buy.
them out.
You go out
Yeah,
and buy
that was the best social.
go out and buy a CD or a cassette with your friends. Everyone's listening to it, and it was so simple and effective. And now it's like it's almost like it's more complicated because now you've got all these different outlets, and you're like, well, what the hell do I go to now? Who's doing what? And everyone wants popularity and this and that. It's like if it's on TV and if it's on the radio, and your friends are listening to it, and the band's coming to town, people are going to go. It was much simpler back then.
And music's become disposable, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
When you went to a record store and you bought a record or a tape or a CD, you had that physical media, and it was not just owning that physical media, but it was the process of going to the record store,
Experience.
of going through stuff, of listening to it. So, oh wow, I really like this, but I don't really want to spend $14 on it, whatever. But the whole process of it was just way more. It was romantic. It was I have a lot of vinyl. I still go to record store shopping and whatever, but not as much as I should, admittedly. But just the act of going to buy a record, or when you knew a record was coming out, oh my God, the anticipation, waiting a month for your favorite group's record to come out and then going there on record store day when it came out, like, oh man, that was something.
And the videos would be released on MTV, like prior to the album coming out. Here's a new song from Metallica. Remember the Black Album? I mean, that was huge.
This is the news.
Yes.
But it was like brand new. Here's the album would come out, and then video for another song was going to be released, next week, stay tuned. And people were like glued like to the TV, wanted to see that video. and then they'd play in rotation like every hour, and it was just, yeah, it was just different, man. And that sucks because a lot of kids now, a lot of people have never experienced that.
They have ways that they're exposed to music, and like we just said, social media. That's how younger generation is exposed to music, and you have to reach them through social media. You do a video, you have music in the background. That's how people get exposed to a song. They're like, oh wow, I love that song.
Yep.
It's just different than 20 years ago. So I mean, but the truth is, you have to adapt. You just have to. You can stay set in your ways to a certain degree, but in certain points you have to adapt. You have to just change according to what people are doing at the time.
That's for sure. Actually, I was leading into this question right here too. I guess would that be the advice that you would give to musicians on social media and even in your neck of the woods?
The one advice to musicians, I would say, do the research. I mean, just in general, if you want to be successful as a musician, I think you need to research everything, the business aspect of music, how to hone in on songwriting, to improve your craft of songwriting, learn about everything. Like we were just on Spotify. I had no idea how to get that process going. Research like what bands who are successful, what they've done, so that you can kind of pick up all these hints or tips from them that will help you also move forward. But I would say just continue to study and learn what's out there, regardless of what it is, if it's social, if it's songwriting. I think
Sponge.
I think that would be my advice to somebody.
Be open
to
and do it for the right reasons. Do it because you love it. That's it. If you do it for that reason, then you've already won. Then the way that you define success for yourself is that I've already been successful because I can play an instrument, because I learned how to play an instrument, and that's it. Just do it for those reasons. Do it for pure reasons, and then everything else after that is a cherry on top.
I would also say though, if you are going to put yourself out there on social, you just better be prepared for what you get back, because people aren't always going to like what you put out there. So make sure if you do that, you get a thick skin, because a lot of people are going to give you a lot of accolades and love you and adore you, and then a lot of people who are gonna say you suck, whatever.
Yeah.
Just be prepared for that. I mean, you're gonna get the positive and the negative both. So social media is definitely one of those avenues where you're not necessarily gonna like what you see. Just be prepared for that.
I have nothing to add.
What she said.
Advice to younger musicians?
Pretty much any musician, really.
Yeah.
So,
I learn your craft, learn how to work with others, respect everybody else.
lean in a little bit.
A lot of musicians who obviously they have egos and they think they're the greatest thing, but you have other musicians that understand each other's instruments and their role in the band, and you work with them and you feed off them and you learn from them. So, I mean, learning is never ending. So learn from other musicians, learn how to work within a group. It's like a business,
Mm-hmm.
You've got to work together and you've got to do things together. So yeah, I mean, learning as much as you possibly can, being a musician, being in a band and learning about the business, that's the one thing. And obviously writing good songs and understanding songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be the greatest guitar player in the world, but can't write a song with 4 other people or 3 other people, then it's like you're just going to be sitting in your basement.
Or you just just play. I mean, you don't necessarily have to write.
There's nothing wrong with that, but depending on what you want to do, if you want to go out and play or just write songs, who knows?
Yeah.
Everyone's different. Yep.
I'd say the other option is busking. Just go out on the streets of Chicago and just do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that advice right there. So it really does mean a lot. So everyone, my basic questions here are very good. So here, let's jump into the fun ones. Ready?
Oh, I thought those were the fun ones.
These are the extra fun
It's
ones.
funner? No way.
It's extra fun now. So all right. Okay. So Kim, what would you say is currently your favorite food?
Beer,
That's not a food, Kim.
It is. All right. I think, man, I'm a Chicago girl, so I think I'm gonna go with pizza. I have to say that if I had one food group to eat for the rest of my life, it might have to be pizza. Yeah.
Chicago deep dish. So yeah.
Well,
Do you like deep dish?
I like both, but I go for the thin, but I do like the deep dish.
Yeah.
It's great once in a while.
Well, that's the fallacy, is that all Chicago people are into deep dish pizza.
Yeah.
It's not the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, I like my deep dish, don't get me wrong, but it's not my go-to all the time.
Yep.
You know.
It's a rude
But-
stereotype then. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But John?
Oh, I'm an old school Italian, so I go rigatoni with gravy, meat gravy. That's just a Italian boy growing up with that, and I still to this day, like if my mom or my wife makes a big plate of rigatoni with the meat sauce gravy on there, you know, that's another thing, is that some Italians call it gravy, some call it sauce. I call it gravy. So that's my go-to.
I think Dmitri might like this one. I'm big into Greek food a lot lately. The gyros. Had a gyros yesterday. I love gyros.
He says it the right way too.
Yeah,
Gyros.
Not gyro?
Spyro gyro.
A gyro.
GG performance.
Gyros. Yeah, I had a gyros yesterday. And I just love lamb. I love the seasoning. I love the flavor. There's a Greek restaurant not too far from my house that I have to probably experiment with more of the food, but
We should go.
Papanouche?
Sure. Babanouche? No, that's Middle Eastern.
Right.
Sure. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
I'm gonna give a blanket answer here. My favorite food is Italian. Doesn't matter what Italian, it's my favorite. That cover it?
Anything we can get our hands on.
The cheese, though.
Mine is
That's
no,
Italian.
no, the ricotta cheese. We're gonna take that out of the equation. Everything minus the
He
ricotta.
said it didn't matter what it was. I'm like, what?
Well, minus ricotta cheese.
But let's just call it, like, Dimitri's not a real big fan of food, right? I mean, he never thinks about it. It's not like he's sitting here playing his bass thinking about what his next meal is going to be. Definitely not the case.
I don't know what's being cooked upstairs, what Trish is cooking, but it smells delicious. You can't smell it here.
Salivating right now.
It's an old boot that we found
I
in the
might have to go upstairs and see what's going on. But no, Italian food. And if I had to be one food, I'd be Italian beef. But Italian food in general.
Oh, yeah.
No, Italian food in general is
Beef, sausage, and
my favorite. Greek food obviously is good too, and the Mexican I love, but always something about Italian food. It's just been really good.
in Chinese.
All food is great.
Most food is great.
All
The
food is
Rising
great in
Ball
that.
is for food. We are a food band.
We will be huge. We will be huge in Italy. Next year, rising
And Greece.
Right.
Yeah.
The rise of our cholesterol.
Mediterranean tour. Yeah.
The rising cholesterol. We'll say that.
Yeah. Yep.
The rising raviolis.
I always say, instead of the Chinese taking over, we should be worried about the Italians taking over then.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do a bloodless campaign right now. They would hook us real easy. So I'll just tell you that much. So
I do like Chinese.
there's Chinese food. Okay. Again, for the next one, what would you say is currently your favorite movie? And if you have a favorite TV series, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, favorite TV series.
There's only one answer. Sorry. Go ahead.
Man, it's so. Does it have to still be going on,
Or talking to.
or can it be done with? Like, you know,
It could be any. It could be any of the old ones. I mean,
Oh,
it could also be
well,
going
I'll
on too.
say-
So,
a current one that I love, Stranger Things, and I'm still waiting for the final season to happen. That's probably one of my current ones. The prior ones, 6 Feet Under, Breaking Bad, those were awesome series. I love those. Movie. So I actually don't go to the movies ever, really. It's been probably 3 years. The last movie was Top Gun. Sorry, Top Gun, the remake. That was how long ago? That was during COVID, I think. So that was the last movie I actually saw at a theater. So I don't really know what's out there. But I will tell you, probably my favorite movie were The Lord of the Rings. That trilogy was, everything about that, it was a masterpiece, and they were all equally good. So that really was probably my favorite like movie series ever.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite movie for the last 30 something years has been Goodfellas. I mean, no doubt.
You already, yeah,
Tell me, Tom.
yeah, I could tell them their favorite movie.
It's
But
him.
not
No, it's him.
It's him, and we even saw him.
Hey, we saw him. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my favorite movie, hands down. Always has been. Been since the first time I saw it when I was whatever 11 years old, 12 years old. By the way, very appropriate movie for a 12-year-old.
For sure.
Highly appropriate. And a Breaking
Fucking
Bad.
bullshit are you? So yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen a show better written than Breaking Bad. So
Yeah, as far as my favorite movies, other than Goodfellas, was probably I like a lot of sci-fi stuff. So I'm a big Star Wars fan. Those were probably some of the last movies I saw in a theater with my kid who was trying to get into it, and then he's telling me about all the plot twists and stuff. So that's my movie as far as series. Breaking Bad, Boss, Fire. So is I like Dexter too. Dexter's a really good one. I really got into that. I like a lot of the police shows stuff. Also, the series I've been watching a lot lately is there's some episode with fire or something. I forget what it's called, but it's just like a fire episode where these guys are in prison and they're like this fire team. I forget what it's called, but I'm sure I'll remember it maybe after we're done. And then another one I've been watching recently is Roswell. Sorry, Roswell's good, but there's some elements I'm like, eh.
He's got all this time to like. I'm like, I can hardly watch like dude. Like he's like, oh.
As an adult, Goodfellas, and series Seinfeld.
Yeah,
Seinfeld, and actually I love Cops too. I love watching Cops, reruns of Cops, TV shows.
weren't you on Cops a couple times?
I was on Cops a couple times, but yeah, Breaking Bad was a good one too. So I was like, yeah, Goodfellas is classic, Casino's classic, and as a kid, movies like The Burbs and Back to the Future were great.
It's the perfect movie.
Yep, that was.
Alfred Hitchcock. So yeah.
Oh,
Actually, when
We
John was
even
talking
brought
there,
Ambassador today, so.
did you?
What was that, Brian?
I was going to say when John was talking right there, because he was quoting or talking about Goodfellas, I was quoting like Joe Pesci started like he was like, "You fucking bullshit, are you?" or something. But he was like talking to Spidey there too, like Spidey, when you come over, grab me a cutting water. So yeah,
Sure, now you fucking move on.
Yeah.
now he's fucking moving.
Dance, motherfucker.
You killed.
All right, so he got shot in the foot. What is it? A big fucking deal?
The whole
yeah.
thing is
Oh my-
cool. I mean, you just do the
all four of you can have your own Goodfellas.
papers.
I mean, I could try to requote some of the stuff right there too, but it's been a while. So
Frankie, was he shaking? All right,
How about that? Okay. All right, but great choices there nonetheless. All right. Kim here for the next one. I don't know if you drink any alcohol, but if you do, what's your favorite alcohollic drink? And then what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
She answered that with the other question.
She did answer before, but always got to lead it with it.
Yeah. No, my favorite is a margarita. That's my favorite like cocktail ever. I know that would be a go-to anywhere, except if a bar doesn't really know how to make it, then I'll just stick with, beer. But yeah, margarita is my go-to, and then champagne might be my second favorite of all time.
Yeah, I'm a Tito's and seltzer guy. I don't drink much, but when I do, it's a Tito's and seltzer, and I don't drink soft drinks like pop much, but when I do, you got to go for a Dr. Pepper, because if not,
Oh yeah,
then I'm
Dr. Pepper. It is.
or around here it's RC is another one that
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like it's an acquired
Tab?
taste. Tab? Oh my god.
Yeah. What do you mean we want a tab?
Word crush. Oh.
My favorite alcohol drink is probably any beer, like usually IPA, maybe IPAs or maybe lagers or something like that. Nothing too fancy most of the time. My go-to is probably Modelo. Summertime, wintertime is something Sam Adams.
Modelo in the summer is so good.
It is.
Found this Stella. This happened to be right here. Now, Beer, actually, my favorite beer would be the Weihenstephaner Hefeweizen beer. Yeah, oldest brewery in the world.
Was that your favorite though, cocktail or?
No, that's my favorite beer.
Okay.
That Hefeweizen beer, that unfiltered Hefeweizen cocktail. Whatever,
Amaretto Stone Sour.
doesn't matter.
Singapore slang?
Coke, Jack.
No, I mean, if you want to go light in the summertime, a vodka soda is good, but a good bourbon drink is good too. Wine is good, but actually, my probably and Dr. Pepper with pop. And then actually, I like unsweetened iced tea a lot. It's probably my favorite of anything.
All right, good. And I kind of led into the question right there too, but I have done interviews where people were raging alcoholics in the past right there too, so that's why I led with it. So.
That's what-
Maybe not raging, but good drinkers back in the day. So
when the answer to every question is beer, then yeah. When did you guys start as a band? Well, beer.
Yeah. What influenced your music?
We all have stories that involve alcohol
Yeah.
one way or another, and drink in moderation, kids. Just don't drink at all.
Yeah. Otherwise, you end up on drunk history.
Otherwise, you're going to be ending up, yeah.
which I guess wouldn't be a bad thing. But okay. Came here for the last one. What would you say is currently your favorite song, or a song you've listened to a good bit recently?
So I can give you my favorite song, like, of all time is "In Your Eyes" by Peter Gabriel. That is just my favorite song of all time. I can listen to it anytime and I won't shut it off. Like, that is my favorite. I don't necessarily listen to it all the time, but that's number one for me.
Is it like all time or just right now? Like
Hey, all time. Otherwise, if you have a current one, go ahead and share.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of there's a song right now that I'm listening to. I really like Sleep Token a lot, and The Summoning by Sleep Token is just
It's really good. Yeah.
wow, it just blows me away. I'm listening to that a lot, but I mean, all time there's not many people know it. It's a house music track. It's called "You Don't Know Me" by Armand Van Helden, and it's probably my favorite song of all time. It's just one that I put on, and I'm instantly in a good mood. It brings me back to these good times that I had in my life, and it doesn't matter. I've heard the song 2,000 times in my life. I can listen to it 2,000 more. Doesn't matter.
Probably my favorite song of all time, once I started listening to it in a certain aspect, was a song called "Holographic Universe" by a band called Scar Symmetry. They're like a melodic death metal band, and it's very progressive, and it does take you through a range of emotions. The guitar playing is just exquisite. It's got like, are you familiar with Scar Symmetry?
I've heard of them, but I think I only listened to like a couple songs. But
Yeah,
to tell you off the top of my head, it's been years.
their guitar player is amazing. The original vocalist that they had to have two vocalists replace him. He was so good. He just didn't want to tour very much because there was so many vocals in his writing. But he's just Christian Alston, I think is his name. He's an amazing vocalist. That's probably, when I sit down and listen to that, like it gets me going for the day. So
Nice.
Aces high. That's it.
That's all I need.
There we go. There's my answer.
no contest.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on.
That's it.
I really wish they actually had opened with that, because that would have been a hell of a nice opener. But they did open with "Caught Somewhere in Time." That was the opener for Iron
Did you see
Concert.
him on the Legacy of the Beast tour?
I did not know. I don't think they came through Pittsburgh. Now I think about it. When they're doing that tour.
When they came through in 19. They opened up the 19 tour. They opened up with Aces High, and then after COVID hit and they came back on the second half of that Legacy of the Beast tour, I think was in 22 or something. They closed the encore with Aces High, but that song, like off Live After Death, as an opener with Churchill's speech, even on Power Slave, you just listen to it and you're just like, turn that up to 11. And just, that's it. It's a full speed at like 220 or 230 beat per minute, whatever it is. It's just, it fucking slays.
Isn't it crazy? Like, our influences are really eclectic, and we're not doing it on purpose. It's just we're really coming from vastly different musical influences and genres were kind of all over the place, and then you put that in the pot, and this is what you come up with. It's pretty, they're all over the place, really.
And Rhyme and Ancient Mariner. There you go.
And Rhyme and Ancient Mariner too.
Songwriting. So from a songwriting, I'll stop here. But songwriting, you listen to that song, it's like 3 sections. You get the first half, that middle interlude, and then the last third of it. So it's like just that song from a songwriting perspective, especially based on the poem and everything, is like it's a masterpiece. It's their best song. Iron Maiden's best song, in my opinion.
In your opinion, I would say debatable, but he did say my opinion, so all right, he's entitled to
No,
that.
I did that. I did that just to leave it out for you. But I mean, I don't want to just say you're wrong, but you might be.
He doesn't want to say you're wrong, but you're wrong.
But you are wrong. So,
What doesn't want to say you're wrong, but doesn't want to say you're right.
What's your favorite song from them?
good question. So, I love Fear the Dark, especially because I just did a drum cover on that, and I did that for Halloween of last year. I actually threw in some video footage from various movies. I think one was Evil Dead. That one worked out perfectly because he's getting chased by some unknown entity.
Nice.
So I recommend you check it out. So I'll say Fear the Dark.
Oh, nice. Absolutely.
But great choices there nonetheless. So, all right. So everyone, we're down to one more question in my podcast right here. But I guess before we jump into it, would you guys like to ask me anything or say any final words before we jump into it?
How long have you been doing this?
This is actually going to be going on 4 years come February of 2025. So
Nice.
I'm pretty happy about it.
So you find a lot of the bands, you find bands in the US, but you also go around the world. You also had UK bands.
Oh yeah. UK, and I've had one from Greece, or that was actually just mainly a drummer. So I had one drummer out of Hungary. I got a good number out of Australia. A couple out of Germany. Actually, not too long ago, I had one out of Norway. So they go all over the place. So
Wow, to schedule the time zone difference too, right, with those European bands.
yeah,
Maybe.
actually, the one I did earlier, Bjorn Bistrom is how you pronounce his name. So Bound to Be is his band. So if you want to check him out, go ahead. But I scheduled at 12 because you have to know it's like a 6-hour difference. So it'd be like 6 p.m. his time when you start.
Yeah.
So you just have to mainly, as you said, do the research. So you check out the times and see the time difference and everything. So
My question real quick is, I noticed you have, everybody has their own accent and dialect, but where would you say your accent is from, or where your speech, your dialect?
in Pittsburgh, we have a variety. I mean, you got Polish, German, mostly Irish. So most of my background is they mostly tell you Irish and German. So
I have a brother that lives in Maryland. He's like a half an hour out of Gettysburg. So I thought about going to Pittsburgh when I was out there, but I never got the opportunity. I was just kind of curious where your accent was from.
yeah, actually, sometimes we made up our own words, but I don't know. It just happens. I mean, you get the alls down there in the south, and then we have and that and yins for up here in Pittsburgh.
Yes, right? Is yeah.
Yins,
Yins, okay.
Y-I-N-Z. So yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Just German and Irish, good sausages, bangers and mash, and
That too.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else?
Yes.
I'm good. I don't have anything.
Think of a question.
No.
Thank you again, man. Thank you very much, Ryan.
Yeah,
No worries. But we got one more. So Kim, here you can go first. So given what COVID's done, obviously you guys are pretty blessed. I know, John, it was a little hard on you right there too. But for those musicians and people who have been impacted by COVID or anything else in their lives, what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians and people out there as we try to move forward in the post-COVID world?
I think I would say you're not alone. Please know that there's support, a lot of musicians supporting each other, network with them. That I think that, it's really hard because I'm not a person to give anyone advice. I don't really think that anything I say is really something that you should follow, but know that you're not alone. There's people out there. You can reach out if it's mental problems or things you need help with or whatever. Don't try to do everything on your own. especially now, musicians have to rely on other musicians or in the indie community and everything to, I guess you could say, survive, because mainstream is something we cannot reach, but know that even though there's limitations in that, there's other avenues to find that you could source into that, to help you out.
Yeah, I think just you know what? It's not hard to be a good human to other people. That's it. I mean, if you're courteous to people, if you're not a jerk to people, people will generally help you. Nobody's going to be a champion for you except for you, but ultimately there are resources out there and people will help you out if you're actually just nice to them most of the time. So I think just knowing that and knowing that you have to be creative. You're going to have to carve your niche in your own way, however you do it. But it's, as a creative person, writing music, making music, you're flexing that creative muscle, but you have to do the same thing in order to kind of get your stuff out there and get it heard these days. You have to be creative and use every avenue possible that's available to you, because we're living in a really interesting time right now. We're kind of at the beginning of the, internet age. So I just think it's a very interesting time to be alive. So why not use these resources that we have?
Absolutely. And just kind of realize too that, whatever kind of struggles you think you have, they're your struggles, and better or worse than anybody else's. Just realize and understand that everybody has their own internal struggles. And if we're all a little nicer to each other, then perhaps, we can all get along and just kind of push on through, because, sometimes what you're going through might be worse than somebody else's in your perception. Could be better, but it is your perception. So you're allowed to feel how you feel, and just understand, try to treat people with respect and dignity, and just get along.
What they said, plus, the great thing about music is that it's an outlet to help you deal with anything. So, like, metal especially, that helps with dealing with emotions or whatever it is. So rather than doing something destructive or whatever the case is, go listen to music and just use that as your outlet. Go listen to fucking Pantera or Slayer, just be like, oh, I need to get some aggression out, or go listen to something else that kind of calms you down. So that's the great thing about music, is that you can find bands and songs that just really help you get through life and whatnot. But again, yeah, be nice to people and just kind of sometimes maybe just chill out and smell the flowers. But music is the greatest outlet, Absolutely.
Yeah, that would smell the carcass if we were going to go death metal. So, yeah.
If you want to smell the carcass, that's cool too. That's a great song title.
Yeah, smell the carcass.
Smell the
Our
carcass.
band name, we didn't think of it.
Oh, darn it.
Yeah.
Going over great with.
Actually, there's a song from Pantera. It's called "Fucking Hostile." So they promote hostility and that one stuff. So
Walk on home, boy.
I should know that was walk. So, yeah.
You're right. Yeah, I know.
So, yeah. Walk on home, boy. That's it.
Yeah. Well, that's the song that's right before fucking Hostile on there.
That is true, yeah. All right. But spoken like a bunch of true prodigies. So, all right. So, everyone, we've reached the end of my podcast right here. We are just shy of about 2 hours. But I guess, we got any final words? Want to give any shout outs?
Shout out to you. Thank you for contacting us. And, we appreciate that you thought we were interesting enough to interview.
Yeah, you can edit the shit out of this.
Yeah.
So the finished product is going to be 35 seconds.
Yeah.
It'll be like, yeah.
We get a million views instantly.
There's 3 people in the band. The 4th one, he's not around anymore. Cut him out.
The 4th one just blends in with the scenery in the background there with the curtain. So, yeah.
Yeah. But also, thank you, everyone out there who have tuned into listening to the Rising Fall, our music. We really appreciate it. Those who come to our shows, our family, friends, fans. We appreciate you allowing us to show you what we're capable of doing as a band, and hopefully you enjoy our music.
Yeah, check us out. We're everywhere. Can't miss us anywhere you go. Any online retailer, whatever. We're going to be all over the place. So check us out. Hopefully you like us.
The Rising Fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, support independent music as well. You know, and a lot of great independent bands out there that you can find.
Yeah, if you're listening.
If you're listening, yeah, and listening and looking and finding outlets for those independent bands, because you don't hear a lot of them on normal FM stations or satellite. So do some digging, find some new bands, and ride with them. So
That's for sure.
Everybody started somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, but to close out like this. So, everyone, my guests today were Kim, John, Steve, and Dmitri, the part of the band, The Rising Fall, hailing from the Badlands of Chicago. So, all right. So, go hit them up on all the socials and everything here, too. Go support these guys and gal. Will be nice. But if you guys see them in their neck of the woods, are you guys mainly sticking around in Chicago, or are you planning on getting to some of the neighboring states in 2025?
We're actually playing in Iowa. We're playing in Iowa in 2020, in October.
2025 October.
Punk in the Corn Festival, but
Corn Festival, yeah.
we've done out of town shows down in Springfield, Illinois, Bloomington, Illinois. We're going to be out Northwest Indiana, which is actually where we rehearse, Hobart. So, yeah, we're
trying to get the region: Ohio, Wisconsin,
Michigan, Indiana,
Missouri, a little bit, like St. Louis or
a
something.
little bit of that Midwest area. So
Yeah,
branching out.
yeah.
All right, sounds good. Can't wait to see you guys in concert, and hopefully you come to Pittsburgh one of these days here, too. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, we got Yingling. Yingling is coming to Illinois 2025. Finally.
All right, thank God.
Want to have that on a positive. Beer.
All right. So, all right, everyone, thank you again so much again for coming on here. So you stay safe, because there's a crazy world out there.
Thank you.
Oh, God.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you.
man. We appreciate it.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Bye-bye.